Hi there and welcome to WCMU's Quiz Central. Our teams tonight are Vestaburg and Onekama, so don't go away.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvy Event Center.
Good luck to both of our teams. Let's play Quiz Central.
Chopin.
Correct. All right, your next toss-up.
The lottery.
Right.
The Stranger.
You are correct. Traverse City Central hangs on. They are our season champions. Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to Quiz Central. I'm your host, Steve Smith, and our teams tonight are from Vestaburg and Onekama. They're two of 48 teams competing this season. The Quiz Central teams are divided into 4 divisions based on school size. Each division will have a champion, and one of those teams will go on to be this season's overall winner. We have scholarships from Central Michigan University as prizes, and Rick Westover is here to tell us about that.
The 4 starters and 3 alternates of the division championship teams will each receive a 2-year, $4,000 room and board scholarship from Central Michigan University Residence Life. In addition, 4 lucky Quiz Central seniors will receive textbook scholarships from the CMU Bookstore. And a special thanks to CMU Enrollment and Student Services, which provides lunch for our contestants and their traveling party.
All right, thanks, Rick, and let's jump right into the game with the Maroon and Gold round. The Maroon and Gold round gives you 2 minutes to answer as many questions as possible. If the team ringing in misses the question, the opposing team will have a chance to respond. There's no talking among team members, and each correct answer is worth 10 points. Good luck to both teams. Let's play Quiz Central. A Klein bottle can be formed by joining 2 copies of what shape, which has one side and may be made by twisting a paper strip and gluing the ends. Samuel Vestaburg.
Mobius strip?
That's correct. The hymn Jerusalem is based on a poem that begins and did those feat in ancient time by what English romantic author and painter? Next question. What war began with the Battle of Kowloon, ended when the Treaty of Nanjing ceded Hong Kong from China to the UK, and was named for a drug? Ryan Onekama.
The Opium War?
No, I'm sorry?
The Opium War?
Yes, you are correct. What Roman god is the namesake of both a planet and a day of the week in English? Sorry, a little too late there, Samuel. What capital city west of Haiphong is on the Red River Delta and was home to a namesake Hilton that imprisoned John McCain during the Vietnam War? Next question. A bimetallic strip curls as the temperature changes due to what process in which an object's volume increases as the temperature rises? Next question. In what country did Alexander Dubček promote socialism with a human face during a brief period of liberal reforms in 1968 called Prague Spring? Next question. Sorry, Ryan. Napoleon defeated Austria's Francis II and Russia's Tsar Alexander I at what 1805 battle, also known as the Battle of the Three Emperors? Moving on. What newspaper, whose fact-checkers use the Pinocchio test, was bought by Jeff Bezos in 2013 and has the slogan, "Democracy dies in darkness"? Samuel Vestaburg.
The Washington Post.
That's correct. And that's also the end of our round. Okay, we have a score of 20-10. Vestaburg has a slight lead there, and it's a chance now to get to know our teams just a little bit better. Let's turn to Vestaburg first and Aiden.
Hi, my name is Aiden. I'm a sophomore at Vestaburg and I participate in basketball and I'm a member of student council.
Hi, I'm Amara. I'm a junior from Vestaburg and I participate in band.
Hi, my name is Samuel from Vestaburg. I'm a senior and I'm the team captain of the robotics team.
Hi, I'm a sophomore, Dylan, from Vestaburg, and I participate in cross country and softball.
All right, thanks for being here. Vestaburg's coach is Larry Kautz. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And we turn now to the team from Onekama. Hi there, Allie.
My name is Allie Torrey. I'm a senior at Onekama, and I participate in dance and student council.
I'm Jackson Gutowski. I'm a senior at Onekama, and I'm on the golf team in NHS.
I'm Colin. I'm a senior at Onekama, and I'm on student council in NHS.
I'm Ryan. I'm a freshman at Onekama, and I like writing, and I'm my class treasurer.
All right, nice having you here. The alternate for Onekama is Rihanna Schneider, and their coach is Matthew Lon. So give them a nice round of applause. Before we move on, we had some questions that were missed in that last round. The process that we were looking for was called expansion. The country that Alexander Dubček promoted socialism with a human face was Czechoslovakia. The Battle of the Three Emperors was also the Battle of Auschwitz. The capital city west of Haiphong is Hanoi. The Roman god was Saturn. And let's see here, the English Romantic author and painter was William Blake. So that brings us up to speed, and it also brings us to the kickoff round. The kickoff round is a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that correctly answers a toss-up question earns the right to a bonus question. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. Toss-up questions need an individual response, but team members can consult on the bonus. Captains, remember that the answers must come from you on the bonuses unless you defer to a colleague. All right, here's your first toss-up question. The 1619 Project, organized by the New York Times, is an examination of the legacy of what historical practice in the U.S.? The answer is slavery. Next toss-up question. What gas, which reacts with oxygen in the Ostwald process to make nitric acid, is produced by the Haber-Bosch process and has molecular formula NH3? That would be ammonia. A civil war between the FMLN and the government of José Napoleon Duarte took place in what country where Archbishop Oscar Romero was murdered in 1980? El Salvador was the answer. What author of the courtroom drama Witness for the Prosecution also wrote about the elderly spinster Miss Marple and Belgian detective Hercule Poirot? That's Agatha Christie. Who was president when Harry Sinclair paid bribes to Interior Secretary Albert Fall for oil reserve leases in Wyoming in the Teapot Dome scandal? That person, Warren Harding. Claude McKay and County Cullen were members of what literary movement named for a New York City neighborhood? Samuel Vestaburg.
The Harlem Renaissance?
That's correct. Here is your bonus. A radiant flux is also known as the radiant form of what quantity, which is the amount of work done per unit time and is measured in watts?
Voltage?
Nope, I'm sorry, power. All right, next question. What sitcom that stars Tim Allen as a marketing director for an outdoor sporting goods store moved to Fox? Jackson, Onekama?
Last Man Standing.
That's right. Here's your bonus. The town of Virginia City sprang up after the 1859 discovery of what lode of silver in Nevada?
Pass.
That's the Comstock lode. Back to both teams with the toss-up. Duchess Sophie was married to what heir to Emperor Franz Joseph I, whose assassination by Gavrilo Princip in 1914 helped ignite World War I? Go ahead, Ryan. Onekama?
Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
You are right. Here's your bonus. John Rawls described the idea of creating a society from behind a veil of ignorance in his book detailing a theory of what concept?
Utopia.
Nope, I'm sorry. Justice was the correct answer. Both teams play on this one. Which Greek hero, who was the son of Danae and the husband of Andromeda, borrowed a reflective shield from Athena to kill the Gorgon Medusa? Allie, Onekama.
Perseus?
That's right, and another bonus. The border between Poland and Germany is formed primarily by the Nisa River and what other river? Need an answer?
The Danube.
Nope, the Oder River. What New Zealand-born physicist theorized the existence of the atomic nucleus after supervising Ernest Marsden and Hans Geiger gold foil experiment? That was Ernest Rutherford. Which British queen, whose older sister was Mary II, was the final Stuart ruler and was succeeded by George I? Go ahead, Amara. Vestaburg.
Queen Mary.
Nope, I'm sorry. Incorrect. Onekama. Brian, Onekama?
Queen Victoria.
Nope, Anne of Great Britain was the answer. And that brings us comfortably to the end of our first round. We've got a close game. It's 40-30. So everybody take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, we'll see if either team can score a perfect 10. Don't go away.
Preschool gives children the foundation they need to be successful in school and in life. But more than half of kids in the U.S. do not have the opportunity to attend a pre-K program, making them 25% more likely to drop out of school before graduation. The PBS Kids 24/7 channel provides quality programming, games, and hands-on activities that are proven to develop early learning skills.
When you say the word PBS, immediately quality comes to mind. And not just quality, but a massive cultural diversity. Everybody here in the United States gets a look at a global culture, which is phenomenally presented. What makes PBS so strong is that it is a product of the support of the public. It stands out as a public service. It reaches out and grabs a nation and it grabs a world, and I think that's wonderful.
All right, welcome back to Quiz Central in the Perfect 10 round. The Perfect 10 gives you 60 seconds to answer 10 questions from your choice of clues to 3 categories. The opposing team gets 30 seconds to tackle all unasked Mr. Past questions. Onekama has the lead, so Vestaburg, you'll be going first. Today's clues to the categories are Science Class, Who is Hosting Game Night, and California Dreaming. Science Class, Who's Hosting Game Night, and California Dreaming. Which one of those would you like to tackle?
We'll do California Dreaming.
California Dreaming. Sounds good on a cold day like this. All right, California Cities is actually your category. Name these California cities. Baseball's Padres play here.
San Diego.
Right. Home of the Rose Parade, usually held on New Year's Day.
Pass.
Alcatraz Island is in this city's namesake bay.
San Francisco.
Right. Host of the 2028 Summer Olympics.
Los Angeles.
Yes. The state's capital.
Sacramento.
Right.
Yeah.
City near Stanford University whose name means tall stick in Spanish.
Pass.
The NHL's Sharks call this city home.
San Jose.
Right. Birthplace of John Steinbeck in Monterey County.
Pass.
Richard Nixon's presidential library is in this city.
Pass.
And Jack London Square is in this Bay Area city.
Pass.
Okay. Brings us to the end of the questions. Onekama, you have 30 seconds on the clock to name these California cities. Home of the Rose Parade, usually held on New Year's Day.
Pasadena.
Right. City near Stanford University, whose name means tall stick in Spanish.
Palo Alto.
That's right. Birthplace of John Steinbeck in Monterey County.
Berkeley.
Nope. Richard Nixon's presidential library is in this city.
Pass.
And Jack London Square is in this Bay Area city.
Oakland.
That's right. All right, the questions that were missed. The birthplace of John Steinbeck, Salinas, and Richard Nixon's presidential library is in Yorba Linda. All right, so we have 2 categories left. Onekama, you get a stab at it first this time. The remaining categories that we have are Science Class and Who is Hosting Game Night.
Who's hosting game night?
Okay. Game shows is the category. Name the game show hosted by Alex Trebek.
Jeopardy.
Right. Meredith Vieira.
Pass.
John O'Hurley.
Pass.
Bob Barker from 1972 to 2007 and Drew Carey since.
The Price is Right.
That's right. Howie Mandel for its entire NBC run.
Deal or No Deal.
Yep. Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
Wheel of Fortune.
Right. Monty Hall for 23 years and Wayne Brady since 2009.
Pass.
John Cena on its Nickelodeon revival and Jeff Foxworthy during its original run.
Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yep. Jack Barry in the 1970s and Snoop Dogg since 2017.
Pass.
And Jamie Foxx, who asked contestants to name a song from a snippet since 2017.
Shazam.
Need to be more specific. Actually, that's not the correct answer, and we are out of time. So we will find out just what happened there in a minute. But, okay, Vestaburg, you have 30 seconds on the clock to name the game show hosted by Meredith Vieira.
Do we know any game show? Pass.
John O'Hurley.
Game show. Pass.
All right, Monty Hall for 23 years.
Pass.
Jack Berry in the 1970s and Snoop Dogg since 2017.
I think I know, but I don't. Just say it sounds like a cooking show. Pass.
All right, and Jamie Foxx, who asked contestants to name a song from a snippet since 2017. We're out of time. Beat Shazam. We needed beat in the title, so sorry, but you were close. All right, the other ones that were missed, Jack Berry hosts The Joker's Wild, Monty Hall, Let's Make a Deal, John O'Hurley, Family Feud, which Steve Harvey now hosts, and then Meredith Vieira, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So that rounds out our Perfect 10, always a fun round. Onekama holds on to a lead of 120 to 80, and that turns our attention now to the homestretch round. The homestretch round is like round two, a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. I'll ask you a toss-up question. The team that answers correctly will be asked a bonus. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. Your first toss-up question: Uncle Shelby was an occasional pen name of what children's poet who drew his own cartoons in his poetry collection, Where the Sidewalk Ends? Ryan, Onekama.
Shel Silverstein.
That's right. Here is your bonus. What two-word name is given to the idea that information in genes flows into proteins, but not the other way around?
Pass.
It's a central dogma of molecular biology. Both teams play. What name is shared by the capital of Australia's Northern Territory and the 19th century author of The Descent of Man and On the Origin of Species? Ryan, Onekama?
Darwin.
That's right. Here you go with another bonus. In January 2019, what media company announced that all of its properties, including The New Yorker and Pitchfork, would be behind paywalls by 2020?
Pass.
Condé Nast is the publication. All right, what jazz musician who as a child was loaned $5 to buy a cornet was nicknamed Satchmo and sang What a Wonderful World in 1967? Samuel Vestaburg.
Armstrong.
That's right. Here you go with a bonus. Two letters attributed to what Italian explorer led to the continents of the New World being named after him?
N.A.
Amerigo Vespucci is the explorer. All right, what country whose President Juan Manuel Santos won the 2016 Nobel Peace Prize negotiated a recent peace accord with the FARC guerrillas in Bogota? That's Colombia. Sorry, Jackson. What type of reaction such as melting draws in heat from its surroundings in order to continue? The answer, go ahead, Jackson.
Endothermic.
That's correct. Here you go. Bonus. Peyton Farquhar imagines himself escaping being executed in what author's story? An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
Pass.
Ambrose Bierce is the author. Okay, what novel in which Reverend Hammond gives the protagonist a cross depicts the murder of Mary Dalton by Bigger Thomas and is by Richard Wright? That's Native Son. In the 1961 Operation VJ, India retook the state of Goa from what European colonial power, then ruled by Antonio Salazar? That's Portugal. What rapper who requests Just Say to Me What You Want From Me in the 2019 song Panini? Ryan, Onekama?
Lil Nas X.
That's right. Here's your bonus. What trigonometric function can be defined as hypotenuse over adjacent in a right triangle?
Cosine.
Secant. All right. Both teams can take a break because we have a score right now of 160 to 90. We will give a breather to both teams, and when we come back, we'll play the final countdown, so don't go away.
Our great state of Michigan is truly one of a kind. From the city streets to the small towns, you can see it all right here on Destination Michigan. We'll crisscross the state in search of the sights, the sounds, and of course the people that make Michigan the greatest state in the land. Take in the scenery, meet the people, and experience the wonder of the Great Lakes State. Come along with us as we share your stories on Destination Michigan.
Unlock your newest member benefit. Over 1,000 episodes of your favorite PBS shows. American Masters, Antiques Roadshow, Nature, Nova, Masterpiece. Watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere. Become a member, sign in, and start streaming today.
All right, this is it, the final countdown on Quiz Central. It's another 2-minute rapid-fire round. The first player to ring in gets a shot at answering the question. If you get it wrong, we turn to the opposing team for a chance to answer. Here is your first question of Final Countdown. What sculptor depicted members of the Cornaro family observing an angel driving a spear through a nun's heart in the Ecstasy of St. Teresa? Next question. Gay marriage was legalized in all U.S. states as a result of what 2015 Supreme Court decision? Next one. What author created Edgar Linton and Kathy Earnshaw in Wuthering Heights? Allie, Onekama?
Emily Bronte.
That's correct. What element, which partly names a band that sang Here We Go Again on their track Animal, is a noble gas with atomic number 10 used in namesake signs? Jackson, Onekama.
Neon.
That's correct. What composer was inspired by his friend Victor Hartmann's paintings to compose the sweet pictures at an exhibition? Next question. What are responsible for the high boiling point of water and are named for the lightest chemical element? Next question. What sociologist coined the term conspicuous consumption in his 1899 book, The Theory of the Leisure Class? Next one. What 1957 film whose sequel is titled Savage Sam ends with young Travis Coates being forced to shoot the title character, a dog who became rabid? Next question. Sorry, ringing in just a little late there, Ryan. The nickname Death Dodger is given to the criminal Vautrin, a recurring character in what 19th century French author series, The Human Comedy? Next question. What fortress and prison in Paris was stormed in 1789 near the start of the French Revolution? Samuel Vestaburg.
The Bastille.
That's correct. What city in which civil rights activists were mistreated on orders of Bull Connor names a 1963 letter, and that was Martin Luther King was in jail in Birmingham. But that does bring our game to an end. Onekama with a 180-100 win. Let's give them a nice round of applause. We have a few questions to go back and revisit. The composer was Mussorgsky. The things that are responsible for the high boiling point of water would be hydrogen bonds. The socialist was Thorstein Veblen. The 1957 film, Old Yeller. The French author, Honoré de Balzac. The sculptor, Gian Lorenzo Bernini. And gay marriage was legalized in all U.S. states as a result of Obergefell v. Hodges. So, an end of a game, and let's give both teams a nice round of applause. And that does it for this edition of Quiz Central. Until next time, like us on Facebook or watch your favorite game online as we feature the best and brightest high school students from around the state. Thanks for tuning in.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvi Event Center.